than a lot of places in like Silicon Valley area. Um, I used to work in big tech, and I was amazed on how Portland was a lot less gun friendly than San Francisco, which I thought was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No, it is. It's a real problem here.
Yeah, so and I take it from just looking at your risk background that you're not in Portland.
No.
Heck no.
Nope. We're from Eastern Oregon, and yeah, it's a struggle. There's no doubt. That's the main reason I got involved in the DC project. Is we are fighting constantly to try to keep our Second Amendment rights. I mean, twice a year they try to, put little bills together that will take all of our rights away, but they're really after our Second Amendment. And 2 years ago, Diana asked me from DC Project if I would be the Oregon rep and go to Washington, D.C. And you've got to realize I live in small little country towns most of my life, 60 miles from the closest city that has a supermarket. So to go to Washington, D.C. was quite an ordeal for me. But how can you say no when you're being stripped of your rights every day?
Yeah, that's DC is my hometown, so that's where I'm from.
Boy.
Yeah.
Huh.
The swamp, and it definitely is the swamp out here with politicians. Growing up, I didn't realize how political everything was here until I started traveling around a little bit, and then I'm like, wow, what? Like, 'cause everything is politics here. You get a job at the grocery store, there's gonna be politics, and I think it's just the area that everyone's around politics so much that bleeds into everybody else's lives. So everything is political, no matter what you do here. Schools are political, everything is political. And I really like going to the small towns where you really didn't have that. Could either one of you see yourselves living in a city like DC?
Never. Mm-mm. No.
There's no way. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was the best experience of my life to see that you can make a difference, and not just saying it because we're women, but frequently you'll get your senators and your congressmen to listen to you more when you can tell them why it's so important you are allowed to carry a gun and protect yourself and your family. And the diversity that the DC Project brings is so amazing. It's from victims, and they tell their whole story. It's from professional shooters. And then there's people like me that, I'm basically just a hunter, although I have had some domestic violence also and need to know those skills as well. So, but I don't think I could ever live there.
Yeah. So
no, I'm from a pretty small town. In the beginning, I was from a small town in central Utah, and we've moved to a smaller town. We moved our bullet business to a really small town called Mona, Utah, which is an hour and a half south of Salt Lake. And it's very rural. And I am so happy. I hate to even leave the town to go anywhere.
Yeah. The good thing about DC, one of the only good things about DC is there's a lot of free stuff to do. So that's good. If you like museums and stuff, there's plenty of those. Okay. So getting into the DC project, we've had probably close to 30 DC project reps on the show. So I'm pretty sure everyone who follows me knows what the DC project is. But one of the things that I find fascinating is every woman comes at it from a different perspective. I learned something new from each woman, which is kind of cool. When you go and talk to these politicians, do they actually listen to you, or do they just do like the lip service and shoo you out the door?
So I think there was a little of both. And I'm pretty naive, particularly when I get in the city. And last year was my first time. And now I'm the Oregon leader and have my own team here in Oregon. We just haven't got to do much due to COVID. But we went to several of, particularly the Oregon and Florida senators that were totally anti-gun, and they wouldn't actually meet with us, right? So they just have their assistant meet with us. But what amazed me was the looks when we started telling our stories. And then, you can put it across to them if they have children or if they have a wife. Would you want your wife to be in this situation and not be able to protect herself? Do you want her pistol locked up in a case with no ammo when the man breaks down the front door and you're not home back from work yet? Do you want your children to not, the biggest thing that we teach is education over legislation. And if your children, we're only afraid of what we don't understand. So if you don't understand firearms, then you're going to be fearful of them. And they're either used in Hollywood, which is okay to blow people up, or they're a bad thing. Whereas if we could go back to when we were kids, we went to high school, we had rifles in the back of our trucks, and we didn't even lock our trucks. There was no such thing as a school shooting. Mm-mm. So it's not the gun, it's not the ammo. I believe it's education. And Hollywood. Hollywood's blown this thing out of proportion. That we literally had one child that shot another child and expected them to jump back up because that's what happens on your video game. So, I mean, we've created this monster, and I think that's what opens their eyes. It's either being the victim of a crime or talking about education, taking away the fear of firearms, that I think has made the biggest difference. Would you?
No.
Oh, totally. Spot on. No doubt.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're right about that. One of the cool things that I love is the DC project is hitting a different face than what they're usually used to seeing on firearms. In the 2A community, we know that there's a lot of women shooters. We know that a lot of women have guns. It's not a secret in the 2A community. If I went to some of my gun friends and said, "Hey, do you know women shoot?" They'll look at me like, "Of course. What do you think? We're idiots." But when I go to some of my liberal friends and go, "Hey, do you know women own guns?" They're like, "No, they don't." So do you get any looks or like, "Wow, how can you own guns?" Or even you, Connie, who owns a bullet business. Do you ever get like the odd look from the people on DC on the Hill or wherever that are surprised that you're a woman and you're into guns? Either one of you guys can answer that, or both.
Well, I used to way back when, probably back in the 80s. Of course, a lot of people know me now, so I don't get that. But there was a guy that was an editor of a Salt Lake newspaper, and he found out that my sister-in-law and I had shot grizzly bears up in Alaska. I said it was in the mid-'80s, and he came down to interview us. And he thought we were going to be these big, burly, heavy women that could chop a tree down with 3 chops of the axe. And when he saw us, we were both small, and he's like, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting this." So I think, but that was that was back then. I think now in these days, there's so many more women involved in hunting and shooting, where it wasn't so much back then. Right. And it's just so different. But I never really struggled. I had a few men that were a little chauvinistic, but not many. I don't run into many chauvinistic men, and they'll come up and encourage us to, teach their wife to shoot. And my wife's afraid of guns. I sure wish she'd come and take lessons from you. So I think the men are getting a lot better about wanting the women to get involved in shooting too.
I do.
Well,
the same with hunting.
What I want to say, I think in the 2A community, I do see that. I do see men actually encouraging women to shoot and take up firearms and the shooting sports. What I'm seeing, where I see people who think that's crazy when I say, yeah, women are like the fastest growing demographic of gun buyers, is actually on the anti-gun side, where I don't know if they don't want to believe it or what. And I think it shows a lot of their bias. And I hear the sounds of freedom behind you, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have sage rats, and I ask them to be quiet, and you can tell they're listening.
It's all right. It's all right. It's music to my ear.
So what I run into in the hunting world is I don't have a problem. Most of the time I'm hunting, I'm with all men. I'm very frequently the only woman there. But then they'll ask me to help their wives. That's how the ladies hunting camp got started. The only opposition I've ever come into is the guys that just can't believe that I killed that giant record bull. And they will literally say to my face, your husband shot it and you put the tag on it. And I said, if my husband shot one of my animals, I would kill him. I mean, I'm that passionate about what I do, and I love it that much.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we started it. But as you know, spouses can't learn from each other, not just women from men, but also the other way around. And so that's why this has been so successful. Plus the type of instructors that we bring in for the ladies hunting camp. I only bring in the very, very best, the ones that have a very positive attitude and that really want to help these women fulfill their dreams. And it's happening. I would say probably half the ladies that attend ladies hunting camp says it changed their life.
Yeah, I'm not a big hunter. I'm more of a target shooter than anything else, but I respect hunting. I just don't think I have the patience to hunt. You know,
you would love it. You just need to have the patience. You won't go back. It's great.
It's pretty cool.
I've tried it, and I've sat there and sat there.
Oh,
and
I'm not a sitter. I'm a go
I'm
hike,
not much
hike,
of a
hike.
sitter. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some animals.
I mean, I guess if I'm hunting like that, I would probably like it more. But just the sitting, it was just like it just drove me crazy. And never
I
saw.
think it depends on where you're hunting.
It is like okay,
Utah.
We'll put in sometimes 15, 20 miles in a day in steep terrain. Yeah.
There's not really too many places around here that you can do that.
You
Sit there all
can't.
day. Like, yeah, okay, let's go. It's like, but we didn't see anything. You're like, yep, but it's over. I sat out in the woods being cold for nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that type of hunting, like trekking across the wilderness and stuff, that would be really cool. But we just don't have that. We just don't have the land here on the East Coast to do that. You trek.
No, most of yours is Indians.
Yeah.
You trek a mile, you're gonna hit a house or a road or a highway or something.
Yeah.
I guess you can trek around in a circle or something, but that's not so fun. Yeah. Tell me about this Extreme Desire TV or something like that.
Yeah. So actually that's how we met Coni. My husband Randy and I had Extreme Desire TV, which aired nationally and internationally for 3 years on Pursuit Channel nationally, but it also aired in Africa and in Canada. And it's all Western big game hunting and backcountry hunting, do it yourself, never have a guide. And it's just been a hoot. My husband and I love to hunt. That's what we love to do. And one of us would pack the camera and the other one would be the shooter. We had no professional cameraman. Back then I could see pretty good and I did a really good job of cameraman. Not fancy, but real. And I think that's why we were so successful. And we'd use Barnes bullets, forever. That was our favorite bullet ever. And so we met Coni at the SHOT Show, told her our story, and we've become best friends. I just don't know. She's just the greatest person in the world.
Yeah. Candy's offered so many great opportunities for me, and I love teaching ladies. I didn't really shoot much pistol while we owned the bullet company. It was mainly centerfire rifle and shotgun, a little bit of shotgun. And then after we sold our company, then decided to retire. Then that's when I got involved with the ladies hunting camp and a girl and a gun. And that's what I do is I totally committed to teaching ladies how to shoot. That's what I love. I'm very, very passionate about it.
Very good at it.
How did the TV deal come to fruition? Is it something that you sought out, or is it did they pursue you to do the TV show?
People pursued us. Yeah, they pursued us a little bit. We just started filming the hunts more just for our family use, and watch the grandkids grow up, the kids grow up, all of that. And then someone said, you should submit that. So we submitted it to Sportsman's Channel first, and they approved it. Super expensive. I don't know if you understand how that works. Most people get paid to air on television. In the hunting industry, you pay them, and you pay them a lot of money, like a lot. So we went with Pursuit simply because they were a whole lot less money at that point in time. It rated super high. Like Canada, for a new show, we were the fastest growing show in Canada for a new show that had never aired. And we were in the top 12 overall forever because it was real. So it's not that we don't set nothing up. We don't, we show you what we're doing right then. And like I said, the videography is not like what you'd see what the guys do nowadays. It's us. It's real. I'm huffing and puffing and it's shaking because I'm following Randy, who can go over, 10 miles and like a, so, and I think that's why everybody loved it. It was real. And we didn't always get the kill shot, and we didn't always have a trophy animal because we're hunting, we're providing for our family. And we involved all the kids and all the grandkids and anybody that got a tag, we'd follow along and film it. And we still do. We just decided, everybody's gone digital and I don't really know how to do that. So we film them and they air here in Central Oregon. We've taken a lot of Hunt of a Lifetime cancer patients on hunts, a lot of grandkids. We took my sister on a sheep hunt. If I talk too much about it, I'll start bawling, so I won't. She lost her son in Afghanistan, and she drew a big horn sheep tag, which is impossible. Yeah, it's been a tough go for her, and it's changed her life. So, God was there every second of that hunt. It was the most amazing hunt I've ever been on in my life. So we love helping other people.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I get a lot out of is actually helping people. Something I like to do. Okay, getting more into the hunting side of things. How did each one of you guys get into hunting?
Well, I kind of grew up. My father was, I say, kind of a fair weather hunter. In Utah, you just went deer hunting. That's what you did when I was growing up. But then I met my husband, and he loved to hunt, and I just got a little more involved in hunting, and we did a couple of things, different businesses after we got married, and then we found this bullet business to buy, which was a 2-man operation, and we bought it, which was really stupid, but we did it. We had no business background, no money, no college education. I mean, it's amazing how it worked. As Candy always says, and I really love this about Candy, she's very spiritual. And I know that God was with us all the way, helping us. And, that's how we helped our business thrive, plus a never give up attitude. But we had to get out and test our bullets. So we tested them in various places, Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and almost every one of the states here in America. And we have a good product, but we wanted people to know that we used our product. We wanted the best product we could offer. And we use it, it works. And I don't know, it just kind of just grew. I just wanted to keep hunting and going out and trying it on different types of game. And it just gets in your blood. I love, that's kind of how I got started.
So for me, I grew up on big ranches out in the middle of nowhere, and hunting was basically, other than if you got to keep one of the cows for a year, that was our food supply. And actually, right up until I met Randy, people would ask me if I was a hunter, and I was like, no, not really. I go all the time, and I've harvested lots of animals, but I didn't think of myself as a hunter. That was more the man thing, right? So when we started dating, and then when the show started, and I started actually hunting basically all the time. People would ask me that, and I would say, well, I never thought of myself as a hunter, but I am. And I think that's when things started blossoming for all the women in the hunting industry. Mm-hmm. Like, we used to hunt with a pair of jeans, or if there was camo or something like that, we wore the men's and we just cinched the belt down real tight. And we had the big red and black plaid wool coats, or whatever the men threw as hand-me-downs, that's what we wore. And we shot the men's guns. And, we used, if we had a pair of binos, we borrowed them from our husband, right? Mm-hmm. And now you see the industry is changing, and there's women's camo, and there's, take Weatherby. They came out with the Weatherby Camilla that actually fits a woman, and I didn't believe it until I walked in the Weatherby booth at SHOT Show and picked that up, and it was like, whoa, you know. And you're not way out here. And there's a story on my sister sheep hunt like that you know, she won't shoot anything but a Weatherby Camilla now, and they're making them not only to fit us and to work for us properly, but we kind of fit in now.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, and it's fun, and it's more enjoyable when you're out there because you're working. I mean, it's hard work. Hunting is extremely exhausting, especially the older we get. But if you have the right gear, the same gear that the guys have had all along, it makes it that much nicer. So, and it gets in your blood. I think if I could say it in any particular way, what hunting means to me, it is my time out in the middle of God's country to be alone with me and the animal and God. And there's nothing more precious. I respect and admire those animals more than anybody. The antis attack me constantly. And I'll tell you what, no one loves and appreciates those animals more than we do as hunters. Not all hunters. There's bad ones too, but there's good and bad in everything. But we love and admire them. But putting food on the table for your family is one of the most rewarding things in the world. And we work all year long in hunting, you know, by putting in for tags, figuring out where we're going to draw. It's a year-round process. And so when you sweat to death for 12 hours a day for 10 days and you finally harvest this beautiful animal, it's just like, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I cry almost every time. I do, because I hate death, but I love the harvest. So but it's all those emotions, it's the hard work, it's all of the practice. You have to practice, and it's just it's so rewarding.
All right. Next question, and this comes from one of our other chats. Our chat isn't really working too well right now. It's not. Usually, I have a little section where I can see chats from everywhere, but it's not really working. So I'm missing a lot of chats. But it was a question for Connie. The question is, whose idea was it to buy the business? Was it yours or was it your husband's? And if it was his, how did he convince you? Because I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but he wants to buy a business and wants to convince his wife to buy a firearms business.
Well, I'll tell you, the whole time we've been married, we have never had a fight over what the other one wanted. And, you know, I knew that we wanted to do something on our own business. What we'd done in the past wasn't really working great. And we both loved shooting. We both loved hunting. I didn't even think about questioning him as to whether it was right or wrong. We just did it. And like I said, no matter what we ever bought in our married life, and we've been married for 50 years in February, we have never had an argument on what the other one wanted to buy or do or anything like that. It was always a conjoined effort. And we both worked very hard in the business. We supported each other. What he lacked, I had. What I lacked, he had. It was a perfect combination to make the business work. We didn't, you know, I said we lacked money, but we always have this saying that we were too dumb to know we couldn't do it. And we were so passionate about it. We don't do anything if there's not passion. And that's what made it work. You know, just a hard work and drive and passion and trying to make the best product that we possibly could make. And we achieved that with a lot of hard work and a lot of rough times, but we made it work.
Okay. I want to thank Armament and Axes for the donation, the super chat donation that's going to go directly to my niece. And that gives us a little segue into, let me just pitch this one more time. I have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/John Crump. There is a GoFundMe. If you go to crumpy.com, CRUMPY.com/GFM, that will take you to my niece's GoFundMe. And also super chats. All that money and all that goes to my niece. And I'm going to bring up a picture of the GoFundMe, which I always do around the 30-minute mark. That is my beautiful niece there. She was diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer, and her medical bills are just crazy expensive right now. So we're doing everything possible to raise money for her. Um, she has about $50,000 worth of medical bills right now, so we're making a dent, but we still got a long way to go. But uh, we are family, and family takes care of each other. So I will be
Right.
doing that. All right. So back to the fun stuff. We got a couple more questions here. How big is the DC project getting?
Oh, wow. I like I said, I've only been in it just over a year, and it has grown so much. So basically, the goal was when Diana Muller started it was to have one lady from every state come to Washington D.C. to defend, fight for our Second Amendment rights. Last year, when we were in D.C., some of the states had 2 or 3 ladies. Since then, it has grown so fast that now we have a state leader, and we are trying to have at least one lady from every single congressional district as well as the Senate districts. So here in Oregon now, and I don't have every single one of them covered, I'm still working on it, but I think I have 15 ladies for Oregon. And I had them so on fire. We're so ready to go to Salem and fight for this. And then everything got shut down. So it's a little disappointing. And we're kind of on hold right now, which is fine because the summer's so busy. But I'm hoping and praying this fall or winter that when they start the sessions up again, that we will be there and that we will make a difference. And have a very diverse team. I learned so much in just 1 year from Diana that I want victims and I want them to be able to tell their stories, not just, say I was a victim of domestic violence. I want them to be able to tell the story, not in huge graphic so much as just in reality, that it really opens the eyes of what it's like to be that person. I want professional shooters. I want hunters. I even have one lady that works for USSCA, and she's never shot a gun when she got that job. And I'm so excited to have her join, and she's learning and she's taking all these classes and she's doing all this training. So it's such a diverse group, and we can all give our opinion on why we think the Second Amendment is so important. And I think that's where we get the ears, instead of just going in and saying, you cannot do this because of this and this and this. We bring the emotion and the real life into it. And I see the DC project growing even huger. I mean, I think it's just going to explode. I really do. These women are passionate. They're real. They're pretty bad, and willing to fight for for their rights. So I expect to see every Senate and congressional seat in every state filled very, very fast.
Yeah, and I got another question here about the growth of women hunting. Since you both have been hunting for a long time, have you seen? I know there's been a growth. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised about that. But how big of a growth is it? Has it been a steady growth? Was there an explosion at some point, or because it seems like a lot of like the amount of women hunting now from when I was growing up as a kid is night and day.
It is. It is. It's the fastest growing part of the industry, of the outdoor industry. And once again, I think it's that once we were recognized as hunters, as I said, we'd hunted our whole lives. I didn't think of myself as a hunter. I was just putting meat on the table. And then once the companies started making products for the women, I think that's what did it.
Yeah.
And also, it's okay now to label yourself as a hunter, as a lady. Hence why the Ladies Hunting Camp is so popular. And so many of these women want to learn, and there again, they can't learn from their husband, frequently can't learn from their brother or their father. And so any opportunity, that's what Coni does with shooting. She works day and night to provide these opportunities for these ladies, because if you don't know where to go for help and to learn these skills, then you'll just usually end up getting a fight with the husband or the father or the brother, and you go home and you don't go hunting again, and it's a bad experience.
That's right.
And women love getting out there and seeing the things that we see and have done. They're passionate about it. They want to be able to defend themselves. They want to be able to take part, but they don't want it to be a bad experience.
Yeah, and I think like being around other ladies at ladies hunting camp or a girl and a gun or wherever they are, having ladies from different diverse backgrounds, different ages. Uh, it's just an empowering situation. I mean, I just see these ladies just they kind of like blossom overnight almost when they get with these other ladies, and it's a great empowering process. And so, what Candy offers is just it's just incredible, and I'm just very honored to be a part of it.
We're honored.
It is awesome. Awesome. This is awesome what you're doing. And Armin and Actress, thank you again for the donations. Donations are starting to come in now, which is good. Yeah, but yeah, with somebody was saying something. Sorry, it was a question, but not really sure what they're saying. I'm just gonna skip that question. Sorry. With the amount of women getting into not only hunting but everything like 3-gun and everything,
Mhm.
and now all the companies are starting to produce gear for women. Um, I'm not sure if you guys have any insight on this, but I've been trying to figure this out. Uh, is there women helping to design this stuff, or is it just men designing for women? I've
No,
actually
I fully believe.
I tried to like find
I
out for an article I'm writing.
would help.
What was that?
The women are helping.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
you could take Weatherby rifles, for instance. Brenda Weatherby was the one that came up with that. And I mean, even like one of our sponsors is Benchmade Knives, and they're working with us to create a knife that actually fits a woman's hand. You know, they're not thick, they're not so thick, and they're harder to hold. And you know, they got all these amazing things. I think that the companies are seeing that there is. You can talk to Benchmade Knives. They receive, by being a sponsor of Ladies Hunting Camp, they receive back over 100% return. So
Oh, yeah,
you
definitely.
got to remember that the sponsors that sponsor Ladies Hunting Camp, and I think you'll agree with the shooting profession, is the women are the shoppers. And like when Brenda came to this camp and saw what was happening, and there was 50 women at the camp and 25 of them bought a rifle at that particular camp, they see that return. And when something works for them, and then you'll take like a Benchmade knife or Leupold Optics, they go to the camp and they get a discount on it. And they go home and not only buy one for themselves if they didn't get one, but they buy one for their dad and their brother and their husband and their sister. And the sponsors are sort of eating it up just a little bit because they're seeing that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No one bought me a Leupold scope when I have to go talk to my wife.
I'll tell Riza.
She'll love that. Yeah. No, but I do 3-gun shooting. Even at my age, I do 3-gun shooting, and you know, I see girls that are 8, 9, 10 years old. These manufacturers realize they have to cater to all different sizes and shapes of women, all different ages, all different levels of shooting. And I think they're enjoying it. I think it's been a real boost to their business, which was probably on the downhill slide until the women started coming in.
Right.
Yeah, I have a friend. His 9-year-old daughter does long range shooting, competition long range shooting, from like 1,000+ yards. And one of the things that she did, remember the bottle cap challenge, where we're kicking the bottle cap and knocking it off. She shot a bullet. It actually took off the bottle cap with a bullet from like 500 yards. So,
wow, that's awesome.
It was kind of cool. It reminds me of that. I don't know if you ever saw that the guy from Boxer wrote the article about firing the AR-15 and talking about how it bruised his shoulders and how it was so violent. It was so hard to shoot. There is a video of that guy talking about it and talking about how how much it hurt and how much force it was, and then it will cut to like a little 8-year-old girl that was shooting the AR-15.
Yeah. I need to hand him a 500 nitro double rifle. That's what I need to do. Find that guy. I need to show him something. pretty tough stuff. That I can't even believe that. That's nuts.
Yeah, it was funny. It came out the same weekend. It came out like in December, and the day before Christmas, we drove my friend who has the little daughter. We drove way out into like a couple hours out into like the West Virginia wilderness, to a private training facility where we shot at 1,700 yards. And we were firing like 50 BMGs and 330 at Lapuas, and I was like, man, we're talking about it. Like, if this guy fired one of these, he would probably explode because
Yeah.
he's like nothing. No, it's not the full automatic guy. That was Mark Warner, the governor of Virginia.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody was talking about Armand Axis was asking if it was the full, the full semi-automatic guy. I don't know if you ever saw the video when he was on CNN talking about full semi-automatic rifles. That's what he's talking about. But no, it's not that guy. Let's get back into the political side again. I think that's where we're going. When you meet with these reps, have you ever offered, especially anti-gun ones, have you ever offered to take them shooting or anything?
Yes. Not only that, but yeah, I think it's super important that because you go back to that education over legislation. I think it's so important that you explain why you want to do that. Yes, I have offered. I had a couple of the representatives from Oregon. Newt Bueller was running. He did not get it. And good friend of mine, love him to death, but I don't think he was going to fight for our Second Amendment rights. So I think that was probably okay. And his wife has had a stalker, and he wanted to send her down here to the camp to learn how to shoot a pistol to protect herself. We have not made that happen, but we probably will. Like I said, he's a good friend. And then we had Jimmy Crumpacker, who also didn't get it, but it was his first time running ever for anything, and he was just inches away. And yes, we are going out shooting together, but he is a staunch Second Amendment right supporter. And I've offered it to others. Usually, like I said, you're not actually talking to the senator or to the congressman. You're talking to the person below them, and they'll say, "Oh, I went duck hunting once when I was 12, and it was really cool, and so I understand guns." No, you probably don't, but yeah, I'm glad it was fun.
That's all right. You just play on it. Make you feel good,
right? So yes, actually, I have, and I'm sure Coni has done that when you've gone into opposition.
Oh yeah, definitely. The good thing about Utah is we're not politically challenged so much in Utah. I mean, we have a different governor in Salt Lake. That's a whole different story. But or not governor, sorry, mayor. But most of our people in politics in Utah are hunters, are shooters, understand especially in Utah, because wildlife and hunting is a very big revenue source for Utah. So they realize that they have to cater to us hunters and shooters because it brings in a lot of revenue. So we really don't have that big of a battle there. So we're pretty fortunate. I don't go to the DC project. I will eventually, but when it started, we only had one representative going, and that slot was already filled. But I love that they're growing, and I've already been asked to help, and I'm more than willing to help because I believe in the fight for it. And like I said, whatever it takes, I can't sit back and watch. I can't sit back and watch our rights taken.
Coni's a fighter. Coni actually was invited to the inauguration when Trump went. So.
Yes, we went to the inauguration. It was wonderful, and it was just a really great experience. And I did get a chance to go visit some of the senators and congressmen while we were there from Utah, and they welcomed us with open arms. And we did talk up front with the big guys, so to speak. But like I said, Utah's different. We're very fortunate in Utah, where a lot of states aren't. It's a big battle for other states.
Yeah, our senators in Virginia know me by face and name, which usually would be a good thing, but not with these guys. Um, they kind of run for me.
Same,
Oh,
same here. And just 1 year.
I'm the Virginia director for Gun Owners of America, and both our senators are both very left leaning, anti gun people. So they don't like me very much. Governor don't like me. I sued him a few times. So Attorney General doesn't like me. I don't know. They just don't like me in Virginia. They would probably like to ship me off to you guys out there. But
We'll take you.
I'm fighting. I'm not going to make their life easier. It's my job to make their life as hard as hell. And that's what I'm going to do. Every day I wake up and I think to myself, how can I sue the governor over gun rights today? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just going to take a few of us to win this, and we just can't give up. That's all. Just cannot give up. 8%. I found this deal the other day. A friend of mine told me that he says, Connie, did you know that 8% of the people in the British colonies only 8% went and fought the war against the British? Really? So I said, okay, that's only 8%. The rest sat back and watched. And I think we're seeing that today, where it's going to take just a few of us to fight, and the rest are going to watch, but they're going to be damn glad we fought.
That's right.
When it's all said and done. So if it takes a small percentage of us, great, I'm there.
How do we engage and get the other people off the sidelines, off the bench, and into the game, so to speak?
It's tough. It's tough. I think by doing more and more of what we're doing with the girl and the gun, getting more and more women involved in, when a woman says, I'm going to go out there and fight for my rights, whether the husband wants to or not, he kind of has to at that point. And vice versa, it's something that just irritates me. Even in our small little town, we had, what do you call when they come and protesting. And it was very, very small. And we went and we stood, but I was disappointed in how few people actually came and stood. And we were the protectors. We never said a single word. We never yelled at or screamed. We never flipped them off. We never did anything. We just stood there. Every one of us was packing, but it wasn't openly, and no one knew, nor would they have ever known. And it was not so on the other side. And I think where you're coming from is what I'm seeing. This isn't a redneck town. Now, yeah, towards the end, every high school kid had American flags, and they were rolling coal as they went by the protesters, and and they were, that was cool. But I think we need more people that are willing to really get in there and say, you know what, we are not going to do this. As Diana would say, I will not comply. And until we do that, I don't know how we get them over. There again, I think as a woman, we have to go to them from the emotional side.
Well, yeah, and I believe with all of these riots and things going on, and them coming into the cities and burning businesses and going into neighborhoods and things like that, well, we all know that guns are hard to get. They're selling off the shelf, and I've had a lot of requests from women saying, I need to learn how to shoot. Sometimes it takes a really bad deal to happen to wake people up.
That's right.
Like this. And so I used to have to beg them to come and, please come and take a lesson. Well, I'm going to go get my concealed carry permit. No, you need to know how to learn how to shoot. Then go get your concealed carry permit. And now they're saying, oh man, I need to come and shoot. I really need to know how to learn how to shoot. And, like I said, it's scare tactics. If anything, this has brought out, these things have brought out more people wanting to learn how to shoot and protect themselves because they're scared crapless.
And their families. I mean, any mother that has any mothering ability at all, when they watch this, even on the news, even if it's not in their own hometown, they have to figure out how to protect their children. And it's impossible with what's going on unless you have a firearm and know how to use it correctly.
Mhm.
I would ask. I'll get back to that, but John Voorhees is asking about the universal background check. We have a universal background check for Virginia. One of the lawsuits is suing over universal background checks. The judge has not given his ruling yet. It could be anytime this week. So once I hear, you guys would all know. I'll put it out on my social medias and everything. Um, but yeah, an interesting thing happened in Virginia, talking about all the riots and protests and stuff. If you look at Virginia, there's not really any riots or anything like that. I mean, they tore down a couple statues, but I mean that was far and few between. Um, and that was very early. Our local BLM movement, to their credit, uh, kind of kicked Antifa out. And not only did they kick Antifa out, they invited the local 3%ers and patriot groups to come in to make sure Antifa stayed out. And which I thought was kind of interesting, because you don't really see that dynamic in other states. Usually it's BLM and Antifa working hand in hand. But in Virginia, I talked to the president of the BLM, and he's like, for Virginia, he's like, yeah, we saw what they were trying to do. They were trying to start some stuff, and then they're going to leave us with a mess. So we called in these other groups and said, hey, come help us. Which I thought was kind of interesting. In Portland, it's not like that at all.
No.
They burned a statue of a freaking elk or something like that out in Portland.
Yeah, I know. That really makes me mad.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
I don't think they have a reason. I think they're just full of hate, and it's a political ploy. It has nothing to do with anything else. And I think it's sad when you start tearing apart history. I don't care whose side you're on; it's a piece of history. And when you're burning people's businesses, we've had a hard enough year as it is. So many people are struggling, and then they just go in and tear apart their business and burn it, and they're shooting people, and I mean, just going on and on. But we do have a couple small towns in Eastern Oregon that did the same thing. So when they heard the Antifa and BLM were coming in, very peaceful, never said a bad word, and certainly never used them, but they didn't conceal carry when they went to be the protectors. They actually had ARs and rifles over their shoulders, and they just stood on the street corners with their arms crossed. And guess what? Nobody went back there again.
Yeah,
and
I saw
don't
that.
know. I think maybe, yeah.
I saw that, and one of the most disheartening thing I saw was people were posting, "Look at these racist people." It's like, no, what? Because they don't want their businesses burned down? Like, come on, man. I'm going to be speaking, believe it or not, which is kind of weird. I'm going to be speaking at a BLM 2A rally in Virginia, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit redundant.
Yeah, I'm like trying to sort this out in my head.
Well,
but
our
good for you.
Our local BLM isn't like other. The Virginia chapter kind of broke off from the rest of the movement for a couple different reasons. The statue thing is one reason. They're not for forcibly removing the statues. I mean, they're for removing the statues, but only if it's agreed upon by the people. Which is, I'm gonna have the guy on, the president of the local chapter, because I think it's he has some interesting views. And then what happened to him was they ran into some like actual racist people, and it wasn't at the lobby day. It was at some other rally, and there happened to be some actual 3% Patriot groups there, and they came to the rescue from actual Nazis. So it kind of opened his eyes a little bit, and the whole group's eyes. But hey, maybe these guys aren't so bad. And then they started like, hey, you want to go shooting? And then it like the whole point of it is they got them shooting. They got them shooting, and they bonded over that.
Cool.
And now, and now it kind of brought them to our side a little bit on like gun issues at least, and issues with like Antifa and stuff like that. So I mean, and it was like it's kind of hard to say what I'm trying to say, but the point is talking to people and taking a chance on people. Sometimes you can get better results than trying to argue with people.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I went like 100 miles around a block to get to a point, but that's the main point. I think we need to talk to people and understand where they're coming from and have them understand where we're coming from in a conversation format instead of like trying to, like argue with them and debate them. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the DC project is because I feel that's what you guys do a lot. Am I wrong by thinking that that's how you guys approach it?
Nope, you're absolutely right. And we go into it as bipartisan. Most of us obviously aren't, but Diana makes very sure that that's how we approach it and that we listen to their side, but ask them to also listen to ours. And there will never be any, occasionally I'm sure somebody gets mad, but I certainly didn't while I was there. I never seen anybody. I had a great team. I had the most incredible team. So I had Lainey Barnes, who's an Olympic shooter for ever and ever, and she wore her shirt. And so when we walk in, man, they'd pay attention. And then you had clear down to me, who was just a hunter, right? And everything in between. And we would all speak just a little bit about what was so important to us. And I think that's it. But you got to listen to them too. Whether, like I said, if they shot a duck when they were 12, good for you. It's so much fun. You should probably start doing that again. Or, would you ever want to, particularly some of the ladies, would you ever want to go to a girl and a gun and go shooting with me on a weekend? Or, like I've offered to some of the others, let's go shooting. You said you like to go pheasant hunting to the congressman. Let's go pheasant hunting, and let's build a friendship. And then let's talk about this and get down to the details, because I think too many times, particularly politically, we see the far left as the far left, and we see the patriots as the patriots, but most of us are somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And those are the ones we've got to talk to and treat right. If they're the far left or they're the far patriots, you're probably not going to talk any sense into them. But there's so many, particularly our youth. If you watch those riots, most of them are college-age students that really don't understand. And so many of them probably have a feeling that what they're doing is wrong. And yet, if it's just screaming and you're bad and you're bad and you're bad back and forth, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things. One of the ways I come at it is a lot of them are like, "Oh, I could never hunt," and I'm like, "Well, you know what? I don't hunt either." There you go. Well, there's a lot more you can do. But have you guys ever seen the picture of Obama hunting?
I think, didn't he do a shotgun or something one time?
But it was terribly dangerous.
Oh,
I remember something. Big.
Yeah, there was something. I'm pretty sure it was with a shotgun, but I don't remember for
bird
sure.
Hunting. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, that's what it was. I do remember now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like the Second Amendment.
His shoulder hurt.
Oh, Lord, he probably should have shot with somebody prior to.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, but he probably knew how.
It was just, hey, here, just hold it out. We'll put in the smoke and post, and then it'll look good. We promise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So reaching
Well,
out.
and then Biden's gonna scare off all of the prowlers and burglars and things with the shotgun too off his back deck. He's just gonna shoot in the air, but there's neighbors next door. But where the business go is not his concern.
or when he said, just shoot through the door. Like, that's terrible advice. With your AR, wait a minute, your AR, wait a minute.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, 14. Yeah. Yep. It's kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah, my favorite one, and then I'll let you guys do your final plug. I'll get you out of here. So we've been on for an hour. Is when Tucker Carlson, who I'm not exactly a fan of because he's ripped off my article several times and plagiarized me a little bit. But other than that, I write, and a couple of my exact paragraphs made it into some of his stuff. So, but other than that, when he had the woman on, and it was a senator, and he asked her, well, your legislation would ban a barrel shroud. And she's like, yes, it would. And he's like, what's a barrel shroud? And she's like, the thing that goes into your shoulder. He's like, no, it's not.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see that one either.
Oh my god!
No.
Oh, you
That's a
have
good way
not.
to trap.
You haven't seen that?
No.
Would you mind if I show it to you really quick?
No, go
that'd be
ahead.
Great.
I got it right here. Every time
Gee,
you give me 1 second, I'm gonna bring it up. It's just one of the things that I like to laugh at whenever I feel a little bit down. I will bring this up.
You rewatch it.
Yeah, because if you haven't seen this, this is classic mom's demand action. She was he said this by someone on the left. Give me 1 second. I got it right here. Yeah.
In February, you introduced the assault weapons ban and law enforcement.
All right, here it goes. Let me just go ahead and share this, and we'll end on this note because I think it'll be the perfect time to end it. Caroline McCarthy.
Enforcement Protection Act of 2007. It would regulate semi-automatic assault weapons, including weapons that have pistol grips, a forward grip, and something called a barrel shroud. Weapons with a barrel shroud would be regulated. What's a barrel shroud, and why should we regulate it?
I think the more important thing is it also would have had banned the large capacity clips that Colin Ferguson had used, and also the killer.
Okay. But I read the legislation.
He looks young there.
Yeah.
Who that woman is.
I just love that when he's like, no, it's not.
We couldn't hear most of what she said. Actually, none of it.
She was trying to deflect, talking about like trying to keep on changing the subject, and basically he's like, "Do you know what a barrel shot is?" She's like, "No, it's a thing that goes up into your shoulder," and he's like, "No, it's not."
We'll have to look that up.
Yeah, we'll look.
You'll laugh. All right. Any other plugs before you guys want to get out here? Get out of here. Barnes bullets, awesome bullets. Use them.
Yeah.
Ladies Hunting Camp.
Yeah.
And DC Project.
Yeah. And a girl and a gun. A girl and a gun. That's a nationwide organization. Most people know about it.
We didn't even get onto a girl and a gun, but another organization which I absolutely love.
Yes.
All right. Well, I know you guys have a busy day of hunting camp tomorrow, so I want to let you guys get out of here so you can get prepared for that. Get some rest, and if you get a chance, yeah, and if you get a chance, go visit the lovely people of Portland.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, we'll leave that
We'll
to
just
be.
stay here.
We're too happy. We're happy here.
I have a friend out in Portland named Joey Gibson who runs an organization called Patriot Prayer out there.
Yeah.
And he always has run-ins with Antifa out there, and they marked him as a white supremacist.
Oh.
Him and his organization of white supremacists, he's the president of it, Japanese. His vice president is Samoan.
Mm-hmm.
And also the homophobic, and like one of like their national directors is a trans person. This doesn't make any sense, but all right.
No.
If I bring it out to Portland, I definitely come by out, or not Portland, Oregon. I'll come by out and see you guys. And next time you're in DC, whenever this whole COVID stuff goes away, maybe you can come and visit me.
I would love it.
Sure.
We're hoping next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll take you hunting the way we do it on the East Coast, which is you sit in a tree stand for hours and hours and not see a single damn thing.
Well, but you got to sit there for more than 5 minutes, sometimes.
Well, that's kind of hard. I'm like, I don't know. I need Ritalin or something to do that.
We'll take you out where you can hear big bull elk screaming at you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Out in the woods, and that'll get your heart pumping.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
It will.
I would love the stalk of it, I think, more than the actual the trigger, but the actual, tracking and everything else. That's what I want to do.
Nope. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
You can pack all the gear. We'll let you pack all the gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I got a backpack.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Thank you so much, and good luck. I hope you guys, you guys gonna go try to hunt elk or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I hope you guys get harvest whatever you want to harvest out there, and bring home a lot of meat.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, John. Maybe we can talk again sometime.
Yeah, if I
I'd
could
love to tell you more. Go ahead.
If I could ever do anything for you guys, let me know. I write for a small little website called Amaland News. It happens to be the only gun website in the top 1,000 websites in the world.
Wow. Awesome.
We have more traffic than Vice.com or the LATimes.com. We actually get more traffic. So if I could ever do anything for you.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night out there.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. That was Coni from Barn Bullets and Andy Yao from the DC Project. Info Barn Bullets is in the description down below. Whether you want to on anyone like Periscope, don't have descriptions. Remember, you can always subscribe to me on Patreon at patreon.com/John Crump. All proceeds go to my chest are available. You can go to paypal.me/JohnCC and donate that way, or you can go to the GoFundMe, which is Grumpy.com/GFM. All right, guys, that is it for tonight and this week. Like I said, I gotta finish up my self urge my book, which is available now. If you go to crumpy.com/giants, you can pre-order the ebook. All proceeds go to my niece, or you can wait until Monday. Monday, I'm hoping that we'll have the paperback up. That was delayed because there's some formatting errors that had to be changed, and you don't want to go to print with a bunch of formatting errors. So, yep. So that will be good. Thank you for watching Armor Access. Thank you, John Voorhees. Also, thank you. You guys have a good night, and remember, I hate you all.
You've been watching Fireside Chat with John Crump, a Black Swan Media Group production. Share and subscribe. Tune in every week for a conversation with the difference